Hi, it's Melanie Benson Strick, host of New Era Success TV, and I have a really, really fun guest here today, Sanyika Calloway Boyce. Hello, Sanyika.
Hi, Melanie. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm really excited to have Sanyika here for quite a few reasons. But one in particular is that I've known Sanyika, what has it been, like 5 years, 6 years?
Try almost eight.
No, we have
Yeah,
not. That's
yeah.
awesome. I love it when the time escapes like that. So Sanyika and I have been kind of, connecting over the years here and there and paying attention to what's going on in each other's worlds. And Sanyika is one of those really amazing, special people who actually puts coaching into action. She is not a talker. She's not a dreamer. Well, actually, you are a talker because you're a speaker, but you
Right.
actually do something with what you talk about. And we were giggling and just kind of having a fun time getting caught up not too long ago when Sanyika was sharing with me what she's actually put into action, not just from the coaching that we did many years ago, but from many of the mentors she's worked with. So I wanted to bring Sanyika on today because I think there's something really profound about the way you look at investing in coaching, investing in mentoring, and how you take that and put it into action in your world. So let me back up real quick and just say that Sanyika is a speaker, an author. She's a business consultant and a media consultant. And when she found out that I was doing stuff with the TV show here and getting more active with media, she's like, guess what I'm doing? I'd love to tell you all about it. So we decided to get on the show today and not just have me benefit from all of this amazing wisdom that Sanyika has, but to bring it to the greater community and let everybody benefit. So Sanyika, we have to start by sharing a little bit about the funny way in which we originally came together. So we met at a James Malinchak event, right?
We did. We met at a college speaking success event, and what was really great about meeting you there was, I was very new. I left my corporate, as we talked at college, kind of in this world, left the golden handcuffs behind. March 31st, 2003. That was the day I walked away, and decided. It's what I call the start of my schizophrenic Israelite journey. Which is it's
Okay.
like, get me out of Egypt, and now that I'm here, what am I doing? I'm wandering around in the desert. And, I knew about coaching, and I knew that coaching was really important, and I was turned on to James by another business colleague of mine. So I went to the event, and actually it was the second speaking event that I'd gone to that he had put on where you were one of the speakers, and you were one of the great wrap-up speakers. I think you came on right about at the end, and it was sort of like, okay, guys, you've gotten quite a bit of information. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Now here's the question. What are you going to do with that? And we were all just kind of hopped up on just energy and excitement of all the great stuff that we had gotten, and the ideas were like literally brimming out of our ears. And I think that, that it happens with a lot of entrepreneurs. It happens definitely at high energy events, is that, you are 10 feet tall and bulletproof, except then you go home, and after you unpack or not, a couple of days or possibly weeks later, you're like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I got really excited. Had a lot of binders. I have a lot of DVDs and CDs, and I don't know where to start. And that was really your clarion call. It was a very different message of how are you going to get out of any kind of overwhelm, and how are you going to put a real and realistic plan in place to take all of this wonderful information that you've gotten over these couple of days and actually do something.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think you and the other gentleman, I think it was a guy named Tony, were my very first table rush. I was like, oh my God, this is what a table rush is like. It
I
was awesome.
remember that. I remember that because you know what, and here's the thing, and it clearly you did it definitely with integrity, but it was like, what, in this way that I'm offering this to you, I really can only work with a couple of people, and I think you had limited to maybe 5 or 7.
Yeah.
The number definitely under 10, and it was like, I don't care, what old lady I have to jump over, uh, what table I have to hurdle. I need to do this because I definitely understood and resonated with a phrase that I know that, whether you've coined it or you use it quite a bit and synonymous with you, which is bright, shiny object syndrome. I am high energy, high charisma, and like, oh, wow, what's that? So it's very easy, and that's fun in my personal life and with my personality, and it is absolutely maddening in business.
Yeah. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to get on the show today and talk about this is because you are somebody who's very unique in this marketplace where a lot of people will buy things or invest in things and then they just kind of sit there. You've actually come back to them over and over and over again. And I remember maybe it was like 3 or 4 years ago, you sent me a picture. I don't remember if it was on Twitter or Facebook, and you're like, look, and you had your Get Out of Overwhelm CD kit, and you had I could see your feet in the pool, like out there in front of you, and I'm like, rock on. She's like still working the process. So what is your insight on that in terms of what makes you different? And you really are putting things in action. You really are taking these um, products and programs and different knowledge bites from mentors, and you're doing something with them that's helped you become a media expert and someone who can really help people get out there in a way that's serving this planet. You're
Yeah,
amazing.
well, thank you for that, and I'll have to be transparent because I know that that's one of the things that that the show is all about, and definitely that you represent and stand for. And even with my newest project with my blog, I'm really committed to truth, transparency, and transformation because here's the deal. I call it shelf help. I have it coming out of my ears and literally lining, the walls. It doesn't even fit in bookshelves anymore. And I strongly believe and continue to believe that investing in my business, investing in myself is important. I kind of hit a brick wall though, and I had to realize that it wasn't for lack of information that I wasn't moving forward. It was for lack of action, and not just action, but specific action and deliberate action and pointed action. And so that was a shift for me that was necessary because I used to get very frustrated and wonder, why isn't all of this stuff working? I'm spending the money, I'm doing the investing, and what I realized is a distinction that I share with my clients now, and it was a humbling place to come to, but it basically is I had to ask myself, what have you avoided, shortcut, or neglected
Mm.
in your business? And in the particular 5 areas that most entrepreneurs struggle in, which is marketing, which is client attraction, it's sales, it's delivery, and it's follow-up or retention. So when I looked at each of those areas, I realized where some foundations were honestly shoddy. And, no matter how many things I invested in, it would always kind of take me back to this ground zero and go, either one, the product or service or the coaching would presuppose that I had done some pre-work, that I had done to a level or a degree, but not quite fully, or it said, okay, this is your jump off point. And I think that so often we're so quick to want to go to the next level, but we have to step back and really truly assess, am I prepared? And I actually learned that from our work together because one of the things that you said, I remember coming out to LA to your event after we started working together, and you had a really specific question about wanting to do big things in the world and really working with visionaries and thought leaders. However, there were some pieces that were missing, and so when you have pieces that are missing, even though you want to do big things in the world and your intention is really good, where your reality doesn't match your intention. So you have to line those up.
It's so weird how that one piece of truth that you just said does your reality and who you're being match what you want and who you want to become. It's every time I work with someone and there's a gap, that's where we have to go to. Is it the beliefs? Is it the habits? Is it the attitude? Is it the choices they're making? Is it what they see as possible? But you really hit the nail on the head, and I love that's one of the nuggets you've kept with you this whole time.
I did, and you know what? And it's interesting because it was a slow realization because being in business and every year that goes by, anytime you have to revisit that place, I think at least for me and for definitely my clients, it feels like a starting over. It feels like some sort of failure. And what we fail to do sometimes, I think, particularly as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, is we are so determined in striving for that goal that we forget to acknowledge how far we've come.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me, that was really big. And I wasn't giving myself credit to recognize how far I had come and what I had accomplished, I was only seeing this process. So actually talking about gaps, one of the coaching programs that I do is called Gaps to Goals, because I created kind of an acronym around that to really understand what are those gray areas, what are those assorted actions, what are those persistent problems, what are those stressors that you're seeing and they're showing up that are prohibiting you, that are keeping you from getting to your goal.
That's so true. And, I was just thinking about where people do get stuck. It's because they don't understand that every time they evolve in their business or in their life, and there's this next wave that we're getting ready to go through, it's almost like the cycle can start over again, and we have to go back and look at our foundation and say, do I have the pieces in place for this next evolution of me? And when we forget that, we get frustrated and we think, I've done this before, why am I having to start over? Or why is so and so much farther ahead of me and I'm not? It's because we're in another evolution, and we've got to go back and kind of reconnect to that foundation that you're talking about.
It's so true, and unfortunately, it's not sexy. And I think that in this, in the society that we're encapsulated in, especially in the media, one of the things that is very concerning to me and frustrating to me, especially as I look at the next generation, is we have this kind of very add water and stir. Put it in the microwave and you'll have this perfect meal. But if you're orchestrating a Thanksgiving dinner or a dinner party for multiple people, you're doing things over time. You're doing things in steps and stages. And so this idea that you can just have this instant buffet or this instant is something that's perpetuated, and something that we don't necessarily give credit to the journey. And that's one of the things that I am so excited not only did I get to share, but one of the things I truly admire about you and that you've been consistent with over the process. I remember when, about a year ago, you had posted prior to getting married, and now you are Mrs. Vander, and congratulations for that. But you posted about this journey, and you posted about how a year ago you had written in your journal and you started the preparation process for inviting in the person into your space and into your life who is going to enjoy travel and who's going to respect and appreciate you, and really kind of had this intention that you set. But it was like a year, in the process, and possibly longer. And so it's easy to forget that. We just kind of look and go, oh my gosh, Melanie's got this amazing man, and he's so awesome, and look at that, and why don't I have this, or why isn't this happening for me? And it's funny because I am probably one of those rare people who got married really a lot earlier than most. And so being married for 15 years, a lot of my friends will say to me, oh my gosh, your marriage is this, or what happens, and I have to continue to remind them, how long, how much skin I have in the game, if you will, or how much of the process it's been in. So we tend to forget that in every area of our lives, and it really is, it's challenging because we're human, and so we look at, what someone else's business is doing, or we remember sitting next to someone else at a conference and suddenly they're launching their own big event, and we're kind of questioning, what's wrong with me. But it's being really mindful and being really careful that you are not attempting to climb somebody else's ladder. Because when you get to the top of someone else's ladder, you're going to realize, wow, this wasn't what I was looking for. So it's about honoring what success means for you, and it really does look different for everyone. So that's important. That's an important distinction.
That's well said. I couldn't have said it better myself. So, you are now well known and doing some great work around helping thought leaders and visionaries and these heart-based entrepreneurs that have this big message, helping them really be able to get their message properly communicated through the media. So I'm curious if you could give us like a couple bits of insight of how that might translate to, what we're talking about here today.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing with the media, it really isn't a mystery. I mean, what producers ultimately at the end of the day are looking for is value for their viewers. They want to know what information, what insight, what way can you connect, what nugget can you impart, what bit of information can, after a 3 or 5 or 10-minute segment, can someone walk away from and feel like they've gotten something. They've got something maybe perhaps they can do if you are in health and fitness or in wellness or weight loss, or if you're in relationships. Give me something that I can walk away with. And I think that when you come from a place of service, and you really authentically want to say, whether this person ever visits my website, whether they ever purchase my book, whether they ever attend my event or get my product or whatever it is, I want to add value. And I want to provide information that hopefully just that little bit of insight will give them something to think about, or maybe plant the seed that later the result will be reaped from. And so that's really what it is at the end of the day. And I think sometimes, we can complicate that very much, and we can try to, push our agenda or make our points kind of known. And it's really about, and I always coach my clients, find out what's important to the producer. Understand the show that ultimately you want to connect with, because every show has a different kind of way that they disseminate information and the way that they distribute and share what it is that's important to their viewers. And so I think media, just like any other kind of marketing, it really is a spoke in the overall wheel. If I could share anything, it's that, it's just another form of expression, understanding who you are and ultimately who you have come to the planet to serve is going to be, it's going to be huge, because that's going to trump anything else. It's going to trump any kind of gimmicky titles or anything that you might have going on. That's where the longevity is going to come from. So that's why that I've had the media success that I've had, because relationships is really at the end of the day what it's about. And just like you have relationships with your clients who continue to want to work with you and be engaged with you, producers really are doing the same thing. They want to work with experts who they know, like, and trust, and who they can be assured of that when they give them that coveted airtime, that space, either on television or on the radio or in print, that they're going to bring some value to the viewers that's not self-serving. But ultimately, when you come from that place of give, that's when people want to go, wow, what else do you have?
I love it. That's great insight. And so I'm just wanting to make sure that if we've got someone listening in, and for those of you that are ready to get yourself out in front of the media, or maybe you don't even know you're ready to get out in front of the media, but you're working on getting your brand out there, the media can find you at any moment. So Sanyika, where can people find out more about your tips of getting ready for media and how you support people on this journey?
Well, you know what? One of the things that you actually taught me, which I'm proud to share, is really working with people who are ideal for me and who are good fits for just the way that I work and operate. So one of the opportunities is, if you're interested in, and if anything I shared with you kind of inspired you and say, hey, I think she'd be cool to talk to, and I have an opportunity that you can go to gettelevisionpublicity.com, and there's just a quick little form that I'll invite you to fill out, and if it's a good fit, I'd love to schedule the time for us to have a strategy session and really see how I can serve and support you as best way possible.
That's great, and I highly recommend, if you are finding that there's opportunities coming up, do not get in front of the media without some great technique, because you got one shot. So take advantage of getting to know Sanyika, check out her work. If it feels appropriate to you, schedule some time to connect with her. But most importantly, really, I highly recommend that you start learning from other people who are not just like simmering in the soup of life and wondering what the heck is going on, why they're not getting results. But really, it's time to start learning from people who are in action, are getting results. And Sanyika is definitely one of those people who's a mover and a shaker, and she's found her formula for putting into action what she's learning. So Sanyika, thank you for coming and sharing these insights and sharing our experience of working together with people, and some of your amazing insights around getting our thought leaders ready for media.
Thanks for having me, Melanie. It's been great.
You're welcome. So this is Melanie Benson, host of New Era Success TV.